Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me this morning. Happy Monday to everybody. I am excited to talk to you guys about something that I believe is a chronic problem in every dental office and almost in every single position in the dental office. And that is just the simple art and craft of being able to get things done. Every position in every office, for the most part, has a hefty task list. And oftentimes, I will get in and start working with a team, and either somebody or multiple somebodies on the team are overwhelmed by the insurmountable task of just getting their job done. I sit with a lot of practice owners that have so many balls that they're juggling, and they too struggle with just how do I get it all done? There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough days in the week. And so I do think that it is one of those problems that's pervasive in that it's hard to climb out of it. You find yourself behind, and you're so stressed by being behind that it's almost like the walls cave in, and you keep trying to dig out, but the more you try to dig out of your hole of tasks, the more the walls cave in on you. And so whether you're a practice owner, an office manager, or any position in the practice, I want today's episode to be a practical starting point for you to be able to organize the tasks that you need to be able to get done on a daily basis, weekly basis. Now, I will say that the things that we talk about today are going to require you to pause. You're going to have to pause, and you're going to have to put some things in motion. But that pause, which I know when you're drowning in tasks, the pause doesn't make any sense. But I assure you that if you'll pause long enough to get a good plan together, you will end up making up that lost time and then some. So I have a few things that I've suggested over the years that have worked really well to help practice owners and team members organize their tasks and make them much more manageable. So first of all, you need to take the time to categorize your tasks. Oftentimes when we have a lot on our plate, it's all jumbled together into a mess. So I always think about those dinner plates, those paper dinner plates that you use when you're at a barbecue or a picnic or something like that. And there are categories on each plate. So there's a little square for your starch. There's a bigger square for your meat or your pasta. There's a square for your salad. And so all these plates are designed to keep the food separated, but it's all one plate. It's all your meal. There are just different segments of your meal, and that segmented plate allows you to eat those things separately and not be able to mix them. At the end of the day, your meal gets eaten. It's all about getting your meal eaten, but you're able to do it in a very organized fashion. Whereas there are some paper plates out there that it's just one open plate. So you start piling stuff on, and then you're walking around your barbecue and talking to people, and before you know it, your beef is in with your salad, and your salad's in with your cornbread, and your fruit juice is all mixed in, and you've got a real mess of a meal. And sometimes it's hard to finish off a meal that's real messy like that. Just somehow barbecue with fruit juice on it doesn't taste very good. And so you end up expending a lot of energy either trying to separate things out over and over and over again, or you just never finish your meal and you toss it in the trash. And so while that's kind of a silly analogy, I do want to use that for this first step that you need to take. which is you need to categorize your tasks. You need to know what throughout the day, throughout the week, what joins together into a category. So I'll give practice owners an idea here. So throughout any given week, the main portion on your dinner plate is going to be your patient care. And that's going to take up the bulk of your time, as it should. It's the main component to your practice plate, we'll call it. So that is going to be a big portion of what takes up your time. But even within that category, it can be segmented out. So yes, you've got your actual chair time, but a lot of my clients have prep time where they are actually preparing cases, getting ready for the upcoming cases. They're crafting and designing things that need to go to the lab or things that they're making in their in-house lab. They are thinking about and putting together treatment plans for patients, or they're reviewing their treatment plans that they set in motion last time and now the patient is coming back. So there is a lot of mental prep that can go into patient care. There's also the actual chair time, and then there's things that happen afterwards. So your clinical notes, your referrals that need to be sent, if you need medical clearances and things like that, all of that is kind of housed in that patient care category. Then we kind of think about what's another category that a practice owner might have. Usually the second biggest component is staff management and all that goes into staff management. So even within that category, you have multiple items that fall there. You've got payroll, you've got hiring and onboarding, you've got monitoring their paid time off or holiday pay, you've got performance reviews and written, a documentation of all of those things that need to happen. You've got to plan team building, you've got to plan your next meeting that you're going to have and what are you going to cover. All of that is kind of in that team management category. So that usually is the second biggest thing on a practice owner's plate. Then you've got the actual accounting and business, right? So how much money do I have in the bank? How much money do I need in the bank? Do I need to transfer funds from one category to the other? I need to document all my bills and do the bookkeeping for that. What do I need to do from a tax component? All those business numbers. What are the trends of my practice? And how can I make some projections on things that are coming down the pipeline? What are expenses that are coming my way? So there's kind of that business component of it. But even within that business component, there's multiple subcategories. And then there is the inventory management side of the practice. So it's like, okay, yes, that is in conjunction with patient care, but that might include things like paper products and things for paper and ink and pens and cleaning supplies and the vacuum cleaner went out, so we need a new vacuum. That may be things like hiring a cleaning crew or dealing with any kind of building maintenance issues or the city that you need to coordinate with on trash pickup and things like that. So there's almost this kind of miscellaneous inventory type category that often takes time for my clients who are practice owners. So let's just take those 4 categories from a practice owner standpoint. You first and foremost need to know what are your 4, 5, 6, 7 categories. It could be the 4 that I mentioned. It could be additional ones that you're involved in that needs its own category. And then once you have identified your main categories, you want to take the time under each of those to write the subcategories. So patient care, like we talked about earlier, that might include chart prep, that might include medical clearances, working with referrals that you're sending out to, that may include the actual patient care, will include the patient care, that may include the actual clinical documentation or your chart notes.
It can also include things like patient satisfaction. Are there reviews that you're looking at and feedback that you're getting from your patients? So segment out, okay, I've got patient care as one category, and then these are all of my subcategories. Usually within those subcategories, you've got tasks that fall in those. So, for example, let's go with the big category of team management. And let's do subcategories as payroll, team building, team meetings, and we'll do hiring. So within each of those, payroll, for example, every 2 weeks or twice a month, whatever you do, you're going to actually have the task of payroll. But what all does that include? That includes collecting hours from the team members. That includes going over the time off requests and do people have PTO available to utilize for the time that they've taken? Is there a holiday? Okay, now I've actually got to document in my payroll software all of that data and make sure that I'm appropriating the taxes where they're supposed to go. I have to make sure that I've got all of my team's information correct to make sure that everything's, kosher with that. Okay, team building, or let's do, team camaraderie, trying to build the culture. Okay, I got to plan a team outing. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to get with my team and get a date. Get dates in mind. I need to get their feedback on what they want to do. I need to book the venue. I need to figure out, how am I including family members or am I just doing my team? All of the, granular details in each of those things. So what under each subcategory, you got your main category and then you've got your subcategories. Put the tasks that are associated with that particular subcategory. Then, once you've done that for all of your categories, it's important to actually go through that list and just look and see, are there any of those tasks? Remember, the tasks are under those subcategories. Are there any tasks that I'm currently managing that could be passed off to a team member? For example, collecting hours and for payroll purposes. You know what? I've got a team member that has access to people's hours. I'm going to have her print those hours for me. I'm going to have her double check them with team members to ensure that they're accurate, and then she can turn them into me. Great. That's one less task I have to worry about. So go through and identify under each of those tasks, under each subcategory. You can just highlight it. This is a simple task that I could pass off to a team member. Then you look at what you have left. What are the tasks that just I and I alone can do? This is where you then begin the planning of your week, your month, your year. Let's start from a weekly standpoint. You want to look at your schedule and go, okay, I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I work 8 to 5 each day, seeing patients. I have a 1-hour lunch break from 12 to 1. Okay, there's my work week. Now, I'm seeing patients from 8 to 5 every day except for those lunch breaks. So I'm going to assume that those hours are unavailable. I got to figure out how to take my tasks that need to be done on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, and I have to map out my day. So each day, let's say you are seeing patients from 8 to 5, you've got a morning huddle at 7:50, then that may mean at 7:30 you're coming in, and from 7:30 to 7:50 is your prep for the day. You're going over your cases, you are reviewing their med histories, you're reviewing your previous notes, you're looking in the doc center for all the referral correspondence, and that way you've got 20 minutes before the day begins to be mentally prepped. Now, maybe you think about that and you're like, can't do the beginning of the day. I drop off kids at school. There's no way for me to do that. Okay, then maybe you're doing your prep at the end of the day. So from 5 to 5:20, you're prepping at the end of the day for the next day. You're like, can't do that because I got to get out, got to pick up my kids from daycare, and can't stay at work. If you've got that tight of a schedule, my challenge to you would be you're going to have to change your schedule. You're going to have to figure something out, because your task will not get done without the time available to get those tasks done. So maybe that means you change your practice schedule. Maybe that means that instead of starting at 8 o'clock every day, you're starting at 8:20, because you can't drop off your kids until 7:45 and you need 20 minutes to prep and you need a 10-minute huddle. Sometimes, and that doesn't need to be the first solution that you come up with, but sometimes if the schedule is truly the thing that prevents you from getting your tasks done and feeling prepared for the day, sometimes you have to change your schedule. And I know that always feels scary to people. Oh gosh, I've got so many people that love the 8 o'clock appointments, or I've got so many people that love the 4 o'clock appointments. If I decided to end at 4:30, I'd have a lot of angry patients. I get that. And that's definitely something to be considered. But sometimes that fear prevents us from doing the right thing in order for the collective whole to be better. So maybe daily isn't something that you can carve out. It may be that once a week you look at extending your lunch. You're like, hey, okay, I'm going to take every Wednesday. I'm actually going to make that a 2-hour lunch break. And during that 2 hours, I'm going to get all my prep done for the next week. I'm going to get all of my payroll and HR tasks done during that time. And then you line out a very productive 2 hours. And maybe that's just once a week that you're carving that out. You'll know how much time you need once you pare down your task list and figure out what has to be done by you. When you look at those tasks, if you're like, I wonder if 2 hours would actually cut it. Is 2 hours going to give me enough time? Go through and look at every task. And in every task, you put out beside it a range of time. Oh, that takes me 10 minutes. That takes me 12 minutes. That takes me 2 minutes. You add it all up and you figure out how much time do I need uninterrupted on any given week to get my task done. And then you figure out, is 2 hours enough? Maybe it needs to be longer. I have lots of clients who will choose to block an afternoon. So they're there Monday through Thursday. Their hygienists are going full-time Monday through Thursday, but they're blocking their treatment schedule on an afternoon. And they're like, that afternoon is my admin afternoon. Or they were seeing patients Monday through Thursday and a half a day on Friday. And they switch Friday to, 2 Fridays a month to a full admin day, a half day admin day. And the other 2 Fridays they're seeing patients. Your schedule needs to work for you. And if you're really stretching yourself to get the job done, you're spending a lot of nights and weekends working on the practice and working on the team. At the end of the day, that's not sustainable long term. So you want to find something that works for you. So step number 1 is to break out your tasks into main categories, subcategories, and then under those subcategories, tasks. The second step is to then look at what needs to be done on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis, etc. Then you are able to, the things that need to be done daily, you're able to have a daily task list. Things that need to be done weekly, you've got a weekly task list. I really like one of 2 paths to getting the task done. The first path is what I call a daily task list. And so what that means is each day you develop a category for that day. So Monday could be your patient care day, and you're spending your lunch hour, or you're spending the end of, the last 20 minutes of the day, and you're focusing strictly on patient care. And you're looking at all that you need to look at for the rest of that week. And then Tuesday might be your team Tuesday, and you're spending 20 minutes at the end of that day, and you're focusing everything on your team. Looking at payroll, looking at staff anniversaries, birthdays coming up, team building events, team meetings, and that's your team Tuesday. And Wednesday might be your, inventory and supply day. And you're working with your assistant who does the supply ordering. You're working with your front desk who does the office ordering. You're looking at random things that the practice might need to be able to be functioning and look good. And then, Thursday is your catch-up day. So organizing your week by your tasks. What I see happening a lot with practice owners, and honestly every position in the practice, is that every day we approach that day with our full task list in mind. And so we start the day being overwhelmed with that task list. So what happens is when we have a few moments, oh great, I've got 10 minutes in between patients, or I've got 10 minutes in between answering this phone, great, I'm going to knock out a task. And then we either pull up that task list in our mind or on our piece of paper or on our computer, and we're like, where do I start? It's overwhelming, right? So we spend 2 of the 10 minutes just trying to get our brain in gear to get going on that task list. And then we're stunted, or we make progress slowly because it's such an overwhelming task list. So if we would break our week into categories, then that allows us, when we sit down, we're not having to think about all the other tasks we have, or just thinking about the tasks for that day, the category for that day. So our mind is faster. It works faster when we've got a real focus, when we get into those moments of downtime, or those crafted moments of downtime is a better way of saying it. So either plan out your week to have certain days represent certain tasks. For office managers, that could be that Monday is your management Monday, and you're having, one-on-ones with your team members. You're doing some coaching with them. You're listening to some phone calls and giving your team members feedback. You're observing out on the clinic floor and making sure things are going well there. You're pulling practice management reports for your doctor, management Monday. And then, Tuesday might be the, practice analysis, and you're looking at trends and things that the practice is doing well. What are our patient reviews look like? Great. Is there anything we can do to get more reviews? We're looking at marketing. We're looking at how far out we are on the schedule. Do we need to create some more hygiene opportunities or some more new patient opportunities? And so you're looking at the practice you're looking at the practice success on Tuesday. You get the general idea. Break your week into categories. And then you'll have weekly tasks and monthly tasks. And so I recommend each week that you have a catch-up day. And that catch-up day should have your weekly tasks and designated monthly tasks. So it might be that the first Friday of every month has a certain weekly task, and it has one monthly task that needs to get done. The second Friday of the month has certain tasks, the same certain weekly task, and it might have the second monthly thing that you need to get done. So map out your day, your week, and your month. That is path number 1 to getting things done. Here's path number 2. Path number 2 is, if you think, I can't break it down, every day I have to focus on multiple things. First of all, I would challenge you on that and say, make sure you actually need to do that. Because I think sometimes we think that something needs to be touched on a daily basis when it doesn't. So I'm going to challenge you, if you think you can't break your task down into daily focuses, I'm going to challenge you to rethink that. But let's assume that's too much for you to do that, and that doesn't feel good to you. Path number 2 is a very simple task list, and it goes like this. And you can do this on your computer, you can do this in written form, whatever the case may be. But you have a sheet, it can be a laminated sheet, it can be a sheet on your computer, that every day you pull out. You put today's date at the top, and it says, the top category says, okay, at 7:45 today, or at 6:45, or whatever your start time is. At 7:45 today, my top 5 tasks are, and there's space to write those down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in the middle section of the page, it allows you to write things down that come up throughout the day. So the top category is what I call urgent tasks that pop up throughout the day. And those are things that need to be settled within a couple hours. They've got an urgent timeline to them. And then in the middle section, those are moderate things. that means that they need to get taken care of by the end of the day before you go home. The third category is non-urgent tasks, and you can set your own deadline. Needs to be done by the next day, needs to be done by the end of the week, whatever the case may be. So as you are functioning throughout the day, your focus is on those top 5 tasks. And any downtime you have, your mind immediately goes to those top 5 tasks. Like, oh great, I got 10 minutes in between patients. Let me see where I'm at on my top 5 tasks. Now, interruptions and new things will pop up throughout the day. So as things are popping onto your plate, you're using that document to write down, oh, this is an urgent task. I got to get this taken care of before lunch. Oh, this is a non-urgent task. I need to get this done by the end of the week. And you're writing things down that pop into your mind or pop onto your plate from a team member or a patient. And then there's a section at the very bottom that says, at 4:45 or at 5:45, whatever your ending time is. At 4:45 today, my most important pending tasks are. And you list those 5 tasks. So it's a daily focus board, essentially. It allows you to focus at the beginning of the day and orient yourself to what's most important. It gives you space to add things to the list. And at the end of the day, it gives you the ability to kind of dump onto this piece of paper or onto this document the things that are weighing you down that need to get done. What is great about this is it does give you that focus that you need throughout the day. It documents things, because I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting with somebody that is still relying on a Post-it note system of, oh, that popped onto my plate. Let me put a Post-it note, slap it on my computer. And then by the end of the day, they got 25 Post-it notes covering their computer, and it's overwhelming. And so this is a better way of organizing things into urgent, moderate, and non-urgent tasks. So that's a really great benefit. But then also, it allows you a decompression at the end of the day. Before you leave, before you try to get home to your family, you are having this moment to just rid your mind of these tasks that are weighing you down or are mentally weighing you down. And you're able to offload that onto that document or onto that piece of paper. And it's a way of letting it go so that you can switch gears and focus on your family. And if there are things that need to be done that evening, then at least you have documented that at the end of the day. And hey, I'm not going to spend my evening focusing on all 5 things. I'm going to spend my evening focusing on these 2 urgent things that need to get taken care of. And then I can shift gears and get back to my family. So that is what I would call path 2. Now, if you choose path 1, organizing your week and organizing your month into kind of that daily focus, I think that's fantastic. You can still incorporate path 2 into that. It's just on Monday, if you've got Management Monday, then your tasks need to correlate with Management Monday. So when it says at 7:45 today, all top 5 of those tasks should be management related. Now, what comes up throughout the day is probably not all going to be management related, but you can sort those out as they come up. So you can still use that daily task list, so to speak, but you still have a daily focus or a theme for the day. So this to me would be the starting point for all of you guys who are struggling to get your tasks done. You're feeling overwhelmed by the amount of things that you have on your plate. Take some time to order it. Put some order and organization to it. There are lots of apps and programs out there that can help you to organize your mind. So it doesn't have to just be these tangible things that we've talked about today. I think the apps and the things that are out there, the programs that are out there that help you manage projects are still going to require this mental prep work. What all is on my plate? What are the subcategories? What are the tasks? No matter what app you use, you're going to need to organize your mind. And then you're going to have to figure out, okay, how do I get this done? And does it require a schedule change? Does it require me to delegate some things off my plate? And if so, who? Who am I delegating to, and how are they remaining accountable for those tasks? How am I keeping them accountable for those tasks? And that can be part of your weekly plan. At the end of the week, I'm going to get with Susie, who is, managing my inventory and my supplies, and we're going to touch base every Thursday. Great. That's a good plan. So I want to encourage you, take the time to mentally figure out what all's on your plate. There's no reason that you should go throughout the week feeling like you're drowning with tasks. Take the time to get mentally organized, figure out what you can delegate, and figure out your plan, your daily, weekly, monthly plan for being able to get all these tasks done. I assure you that these tasks are achievable to get done, but it's going to require some thought on your part and some organization. I wish you the very best of luck this week. I'm hoping that you will take this week to get organized, get your mind cleared, and get those tasks done.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.